There's something about a man whose beard looks like it's on fire. Not literally, but spiritually. Vincent van Gogh wasn't born the look of a mad genius. He wasn't rich, or popular, or even good at fitting in. But inside that head was a storm of color and chaos that would change the world. And behind that storm was a beard that burned as bright as his art. And today, on Beardtory, we're going to dive into the fiery, the fragile, and the phenomenal life of the man who painted with his soul, Vincent van Gogh. Welcome back, everybody, to another Beardtory. I'm super excited about this one. If you enjoy beards and you enjoy history, you're in the right place. And I'm not even going to waste your time, because without further ado, we're going to jump into this. And we're traveling back all the way to 1853, where Vincent William van Gogh was born in a very small Dutch village called Zundert. He was the eldest of 6 children, son of a Protestant pastor and a mother who loved to paint flowers in her garden. Sounds peaceful, right? From the start, Vincent's life was haunted, quite literally. You see, he was born exactly 1 year after his parents' first child, also named Vincent, was stillborn. And they buried the first Vincent just a few feet from where the second one, our Vincent, played as a boy. Imagine growing up seeing your own name carved into a gravestone before you've even learned to write your own name. I feel like that's going to leave a mark on anyone. And Vincent, he was quiet, he was sensitive, and deeply spiritual. He tried to follow his father into the church, even becoming a missionary in a poverty-stricken coal mining region of Belgium. He lived among the miners, sleeping on the floor, giving away his clothes, even burning his furniture to stay warm. But the church dismissed him, said he took Christianity too seriously. And that's when something snapped. Rejected, isolated, and desperate for meaning, he turned to what he called his calling from God, painting. He wanted to show people what he saw, not the surface, but the soul. And he'd spend the rest of his life chasing the truth, brushstroke by brushstroke. And in 1886, Vincent moved to Paris to live with his brother Theo, who worked as an art dealer. Paris was the epicenter of a revolution. Imperialism was starting to bloom. Monet, Degas, Picasso, and, some other artists that I can't pronounce very well. And they were all starting to break the rules. And Vincent dove right into the chaos. He started experimenting colors, light, movement, and he began painting people, landscapes, and himself. And it was here in Paris that the beard was born. Gone was the somber, dark-haired missionary. In his place emerged a man whose beard seemed to glow with the same energy as his canvas. Wild, reddish gold, unkept, untamed. It wasn't just a beard, it was a reflection of his transformation. He no longer painted reality as it looked. He painted how it felt. His face, his hair, his very expression became a canvas of his inner fire. He absorbed the influence of the French masters and the bright tones of Japanese prints, which he adored. He began mixing complementary colors to make his paintings vibrant. Blues and oranges, yellows and violets. His brushstrokes became thick, energetic, swirling like the thoughts that had never stopped spinning in his mind. In 2 short years, he completed more than 200 paintings. 2 years! All while his mental state started to wobble. But Vincent, he didn't care. He said, I feel a certain power in me, a fire that I may consume myself in, but that shall not destroy me. The fire was visible right there in that beard. And then in 1888, Van Gogh fled Paris for the quiet of southern France. He moved to a little yellow house in the town of Arras, where he dreamed of creating a community of artists, a brotherhood of creativity and color. For a time, it worked. He invited his friend Paul Gauguin to join him. At first, it was beautiful. They painted side by side, debated philosophy, argued about technique. But their personalities, they couldn't have been more different. Vincent, he was intense, emotional, impulsive, the kind of guy who'd paint for 16 hours straight and would never eat. Well, again, he was cold, analytical, and thought Vincent's work was too raw. It was a volatile mix, and after months of tension, one December night, everything exploded. According to one account, they argued violently. Gauguin storms out, Vincent distraught and hallucinating, cut off part of his own ear. Or as some new research suggests, maybe, just maybe, Gauguin may have slashed it during the fight with a fencing sword. Either way, Vincent wrapped it in a paper and delivered it to a woman at a local brothel. That's not madness. That's heartbreak, weaponized. After the incident, Vincent's mental health spiraled. He was admitted to the asylum in Saint Remy de Provence, where he continued to paint obsessively. Brilliantly, he captured the swirling skies, the olive trees, and the trembling stars over the courtyard. He painted the starry night, irises, wheat field, and cypresses, all while under the watch of doctors and his own unraveling mind. His letters to Theo were both beautiful and devastating. He wrote, "I put my heart and my soul into my work and have lost my mind in the process." By 1890, his mental health seemed to improve. He ended up moving to the small town of Auvers-sur-Oise to be closer to Theo. He painted constantly. Wheat fields, crows, stormy skies, over 70 paintings in 70 days. Each one seemed to mirror his internal battle between hope and despair. But the world still didn't understand him. Critics, they ignored him. He sold only one painting in his lifetime, The Red Vineyard, for like 400 francs. Then on July 27th, 1890, Vincent went out into a field with a revolver, and he was found later with a shot. He died 2 days later in Theo's arms. The last words were said to be, "The sadness will last forever." But maybe it didn't, because what lasted instead was the art, the colors, the light, the beard that burned like a torch long after his body was gone. Vincent painted over 2,100 works in his short life, 860 of them oil paintings, and now they hang in the most prestigious galleries in the world. Each one is a window into his mind, a place where color and chaos coexist. And in the end, Vincent van Gogh's story is not one of madness, but of meaning. He taught the world that pain and beauty often share the same canvas, that creation can be both agony and salvation, and that sometimes the brightest flames burn the shortest. Today, his gold beard is as iconic as his swirling skies. It's the beard of rebellion, of passion, of unfiltered humanity. Every self-portrait, every brushstroke, every trembling star is a whisper from his restless soul, and a reminder that art doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. Vincent once said, "What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything?" And he proved it. One painting, one heartbeat, one wild beard at a time. And let's go ahead and jump into the beard ranking, where we go ahead and we rank fear factor, wisdom points, intimidation level, thickness and wildness, and historical impact. And let's go ahead and start with fear factor. Let's be honest, the intensity was unnerving, but his heart was pure. I don't think anybody overly feared him, even in a battle with his friend in a place where stories are a little mixed of who did what with what ear and how did he lose it. He wasn't a very fearful guy to most. Out of 10. Wisdom points, I mean, he had an insight into emotion and color that changed art forever. I mean, a lot of artists, a lot of people, in that field and with those skills, they're very intelligent people. So for me, 8.4 out of 10. Let's go with intimidation level. It was more haunting than threatening, right? I mean, not overly intimidating, kind of like the fear factor. We've never really had a fear factor that was high and intimidation level low, and vice versa. So for me, it's going to be a 4.2 out of 10. Thickness and wildness, it was a perfect storm of red, chaos, and creative energy. The first number that popped into my head when I saw depictions and, self-portraits of him and his beard was an 8.1 out of 10. Historical impact, I mean, he was the man who turned paint into beauty. I mean, just about every single person, you have to be into art to know Vincent van Gogh, heard of Vincent van Gogh. That's a pretty big historical impact. For me, 9.8 out of 10. If my math is mathin', total score, 34.4 out of 50. And that is where he ranks amongst all the other. Do you see him on the top 20? Should we do a top 50? Either way, like I said, we ranked the top 20. We have a list somewhere else. If you want to see it, let us know in the comments. I'll put the full list out of who ranks where. But with that being said, Vincent van Gogh's beard didn't just grow, it glowed. It was the reflection of a man trying to capture the impossible, the feeling of being alive. So the next time you see the starry night, don't just look at the sky. Look at the fire beneath it. Because somewhere in that sea of swirling blue and gold, that beard is still burning. And that's all we got. We'll be back next week. Take care, everybody.